Paul in Woodinville, Washington. Hey, Paul, what's on your mind today?
Well, Tom, I listened to you read the article at the beginning of the program, and I know this is 2 hours ago, so specifics are, and I had to go up. But, Tom, I'm becoming increasingly concerned and annoyed with the Viva la Resistance seems to be quickly deteriorating into a lot of infighting and litmus tests and purity tests on the Democratic side. There's, from my point of view, and I think you know where I stand politically, this kind of petulant progressive tantrum is going to lead to 2 more devastating defeats in 2018. The Democrats will lose more seats in the Congress, and in 2020, I think they'll lose again. I really do. Because one thing I think the progressive wing, I guess that doesn't even want to be part of the party anymore, doesn't realize is they need all of the Democrats that didn't vote for Bernie in the primaries. They need those people to win.
Yep.
They need them.
Yep.
Just like the people, your regular, I guess we'll call them establishment Democrats, needed the progressives, people who weren't so jazzed up about Hillary Clinton. And the thing is, it doesn't matter. It's not Hillary. The Republicans and Trump are going to do the same thing, the same undermining and demoralizing of the Democrats that they did this time, and it doesn't matter whose name you want to put on the ticket. They're going to do the same thing, and Democrats are prone to be going, oh, yeah. I mean, we're seeing this with John Ossoff, already picking on him, and this other person in Oklahoma for their stand. You got to get blue fannies in the seats on the blue side of the aisle.
Yeah, I totally agree, Paul. I totally agree. The point that I was trying to make, and maybe it was maybe I did it very badly, that I got out of Thomas Frank's piece, because I've been there too. You go back to Michigan, you go to the industrial Midwest, is that the Democratic Party has lost millions of voters. And they've lost them based on issues that are traditionally the Democratic Party's issues, principally trade and jobs. And, you know, the Clinton campaign understood this. It's the economy, stupid. And I'm as concerned as you are, Paul, about the future of all this. And I really think that if the Democratic Party, and I see the Democratic Party moving in the right direction, in my opinion. But if the party does not start talking about core economic issues and putting those front and center, the Democratic Party is going to be losing elections.
Well, that's true, but you have to look at it this way. This is
so how do we have this conversation? There's probably less than 1% of my audience listening are Republicans right now. How do we have this conversation inside the Democratic Party? Are you saying we shouldn't discuss it?
Here's a concept. When a big freighter like the Edmund Fitzgerald wants to start turning south in Lake Huron, they have to start turning the wheel long before they get to Lake Huron, right?
Yeah.
It's a long turn, but you have to move this big, heavy thing. So those of us who are very much, I don't know, I hate to call myself a progressive, but embrace the progressive values have to understand that it's, Tom, I'm a socialist. I have been since I was 13.
Well, this is why I said, Paul, you know, you'll recall at the end of that rant, I said, you know, we need, you know, if there are places where an anti-abortion Democrat can win, we need to get an anti-abortion Democrat in there. If there are, you know, I am not talking about party purity here. I'm talking about see, that's the social issue. I'm talking about exclusively in the realm of economic issues having to do with trade and jobs and pay and rights of labor. Exclusively in that realm, frankly, I think we actually should have party purity. Don't you?
Well, I look at it this way. Let me give you the analogy, and I'll answer it this way. If I give you a math test, or I give somebody a math test, and they get 85%, let's say they miss 3 problems, do I not hire them because they don't? I look at it this way. They mostly understand how to solve the problem when they understand the problem. I just look at it this way. The ones you missed are because you don't understand the problem, and once you understand the problem, you'll have to agree with the right answer. And that's the way I look at somebody like John Ossoff, who says he's not for single payer. It's because he doesn't understand the problem. Once he understands the problem, then he'll agree with me on single payer.
I suspect that he is not. You know, it'd be interesting to get him on and ask him, you know, why aren't you supporting single payer? Because it may simply be that he thinks in his district supporting single payer isn't going to fly. And if in his district supporting single payer is not a good idea, he shouldn't run on it.
That's right. And it might be that his position is that single payer is going to take some time, and it is going to take some time. You can't have it tomorrow. The system's too complicated. It would be there's just too many moving parts to have to be sorted out. I'm for that, but I'm also willing to talk to people who say, well, let's move in the direction, but it's not going to happen overnight. But the first thing is we're not going to move in that direction until, like I said, you start turning the wheel on the giant freighter. On the
I wouldn't use the Edmund Fitzgerald as an example. I'm sorry, Paul. I interrupted you.
I said back to my analogy, we're not going to solve the problem until we start turning the wheel of the giant ore freighter in the direction. So we start. You can't turn.
I think that happened a year and a half ago when the Democratic Party put together its platform. And all I'm suggesting is that, in particular with regard to the economic issues, Democrats need to support the Democratic Party platform. We all agreed on that. Anyhow, Paul, thanks a lot for the call. Been an interesting day. Been a real interesting day.